Welcome back to Trucker Talk Radio Behind the Wheelhouse. I'm Justin. My co host John couldn't make it today, but I've got a great co host stepping in with me. Shamaira has joined Trucker Talk Radio and will be launching her own health and fitness podcast called Ready to Roll. Shamaira, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, guys.
Well, today's guest is someone who is building a strong operation in a tough market, which I think we're starting to make the turn, so hopefully it's going to be an easier market for long. But Nick Isabella is a founder and CEO of Trusted Cartage Solutions, an asset-based carrier focused on high-value, time-sensitive freight across the Southeast. He does full truckload and LTL. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin and Shamaira. Let's rock it out today and provide some value.
Sounds great. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. So, Nick, your background is not typical straight path into trucking. I've seen that you had been in corporate on some trucking stuff, and then you were actually a part of the athletic group, I believe, at the Citadel. And then you got back into trucking or got into trucking more focus wise. Walk us through that journey and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I've walked through many worlds than most people. It's been crazy. I graduated from Clemson University in 2012,
Hmm.
moved up to Charlotte, and that's when I got my first taste of the real world. I started working for a company called XPO Logistics, and
Mhm.
that was during their inception and helped Drew Wilkerson and Brad Jacobs start up, which is now the headquarters at RXO, and that brokerage operation. So I learned customer sales and carrier sales. Did well on both sides of the business, but also felt as though that I was just in an industry that was just, it was wild. I was able to catch on quick in setting up customer accounts.
Mhm.
Did that for about a year and a half. And then I changed to the carrier sales side because I wanted to learn that portion of the business. And I really fell in love with talking to the drivers and carriers. And I was able to logistically align and streamline our operations and help out our customer sales team. But what I didn't understand was why we couldn't receive a POD on time, why I couldn't get a check call from a driver or a trucking company letting me know where the truck was. Because at that point, we were guys were still driving back in 2013 as cowboys everywhere. ELDs really
Mhm.
weren't a thing. They were coming into that transition.
Yep.
So, operations weren't as streamlined or as dialed in as they are now with ELD tracking links and so on and so forth. We relied on MacroPoint a little bit also, but during that time, I also started a professional basketball team that competed in what was called the ESPN $2 million tournament with my friends.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was recruiting
That's
professional
awesome.
athletes from all over the world to come compete during the summertime in a single elimination tournament. Very similar to how college is set up. So you show
Mhm.
up, you play a game, you win, you advance, you lose, you go home. So I
Mhm.
was still trying to grind it out at XPO. One thing led to another, and I actually left the industry for 6 straight years. I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, totally left the industry, started working at a cloud software company where I was an operations analyst. And I felt very comfortable. During that time, I was still coaching the professional basketball team that I started, acting as general manager. And I was also mentoring youth athletes down here and college athletes all over the country as well. I had a basketball player development business.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
did really well. I was also coaching a 17 and under travel basketball team. We were the only Under Armour sponsored team in the state of South Carolina. I had the
Nice.
13th draft pick, and Aaron Neesmith. He played at Vanderbilt and now plays for the
Hmm.
Pacers. And
Yep.
McDonald's All-American and Josiah James, who graduated from the University of Tennessee and is now playing overseas in Jerusalem. We had a really high-level team. We were beating guys like Cole Anthony, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, Nico Mannion, all those guys.
Oh, wow.
So during that time, I was working corporate America, still coaching basketball. I learned how to lead and build organizations. I was
Hmm.
still grinding it out in corporate America, understanding different structures. When 2020 came, okay, I got laid off from that cloud software company for no apparent reason. That was when times were crazy. I'm sure you all remember
Mhm.
Oh,
the
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
world was shut down.
Everything was shut
And
down.
that's when they started naming essential and non-essential people. So that was actually the last summer because I had a light bulb moment that I coached professional basketball. We were one of 24 teams selected in the world to compete in the first live sporting event that July, and we ended up losing in that tournament. So I got back to Charleston and I realized I was like, well, what am I going to do? What's that? What should I do?
Mhm.
During the time, the administration was naming essential and non-essential people. So I said, well, I know how to create teams. I'm physically fit. I believe that I can do a 14-hour days with 11 hours of drive time. I had capital that I wanted to deploy.
Mhm.
So I bought my first truck. I made that decision. I bought my first truck, didn't have a CDL, but knew how to hustle freight and knew that I could outlast the next guy or the next gal in that truck and operate efficiently because there's a low barrier of entry in the trucking industry. And I knew just by doing the simple stuff, updates on time, showing up on time, following through, and doing what I'm saying I'm going to do, I could get massive amounts of business and gain the trust of many people. So
Mhm.
that's what I did. I drove, I stayed out a month, 2 months, and then I was like, oh my God, I don't even recognize myself. I got to get back to Charleston and get a haircut or something or sleep in bed for a night. I was like, this is crazy. But I
Yeah.
went and I saw the whole country, picked and delivered in every state but three. Okay, so I learned the roads. I saw what truly goes on up there. When I first got in the truck, guys, I didn't even know how to go through a fuel station. Okay, I was crapping my pants. And you used to be a DOT officer. Okay, so you know exactly what I mean. When you get yanked over that first time and you say, Officer, why did I get pulled? He said, I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
And they're going to run through that thing and trust me, they'll find something if they want to.
They
So
will.
Exactly.
again, I
Yeah.
don't care how you're feeling, you have to put your emotions aside and act professional. You have to have all your documentation on point. So I truly got tested, right? Because
Mhm.
out there on the road, when you're logging that 11-hour day, I mean, I was humping 600, 660 miles in a day, hoping I'm not catching traffic. But even if I did, I knew I had to position myself to take that 10-hour break to set myself up that next day. Now, I know I sound really long-winded, but I'm trying to give you a snapshot and an elevator pitch of what I've went through
Mhm.
then to build what I did today. So I logged like 83,000 miles, and during that time, I started slowly scaling up. But before my first load, I had a pallet jack that was delivered to my old house. So I see this pup trailer coming down the road, and I said, "Oh my God, like this is the pallet jack, right?" So I see the driver getting out of the truck, and I locked eyes with him, and he saw me. He started smiling. I knew right then and there I had my first partner. Okay, he gets out, great smile, great teeth, like awesome personality. I
Mhm.
introduced myself to him. I was like, "Man, what happened to your trailer?" Okay, it was skinned off the top. All right.
Oh
It was
wow.
peeled open just like a can. He started laughing. He's like, it wasn't me, but they sent me out from the terminal like this. I said, what? And I was like, man, that's wild. And he said, why are you ordering a pallet jack to your house? And I said, well, I just got my first truck and I'm about to go hustle expedited LTL all over the country. Not having a CDL, I had a 26-foot straight truck. I knew I could fit 12 pallets in there and double stack them because I had
Mhm.
swing doors. I had a Palfinger lift gate. It was food grade. I had E-tracks, and it was amazing. It was an Isuzu FTR, brand spanking new. I was ready to rock and roll. Okay, so I said, hey, let's stay in touch. This guy probably thought I was crazy at the time. So a couple of months later, he's like, hey man, how's it going? I was like, oh my God, I'm coming through Nampa, Idaho right now, routing up Route 20 to get to Bend, Oregon to drop off some furniture. He said, what? Because we're located here in Charleston, South Carolina. A
Yeah, yeah,
lot
I
of
know
the
this.
guys really haven't left the Southeast because they run cans.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's like, what? So I'm sending him pictures and he's like, man, this guy's professional. His look is on point. He's physically fit. He's about his business and he's doing everything that he told me. He said, I'm thinking about buying my first truck. I said, you should. And I have a trailer for you. Okay, so I met my first partner because
Awesome.
I knew that you could sign on owner operators that were going to run under your authority.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I knew if I was going to pull guys out of the port or from other trucking companies, I could stay lean going in and trying to do business in transportation because it's a roller coaster ride, right? And that's what I learned from
Oh yeah.
brokerage.
Oh
How do
yeah.
I flatten out that roller coaster ride? So I didn't want to go buy a class 8 vehicle initially, knowing if fuel was going to go up or what insurance was going to do. Again, the world was
Mhm.
essentially still shut down. And mind you, this is like 2021 right now. Still, there was a lot of unknown. Yes,
Yep.
the market was up, but I also knew, okay, it's only going to be up until you have that bite where it starts falling
Hmm.
down, which happened like spring of 2022, right? So
Hmm.
I just stayed lean. bought that first trailer, bought a second trailer, hired another owner operator. And mind you, that first driver, he's still here and he's kicking ass right now.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Okay. And I love the guy to death. He just knocked out 17 loads last week. He's a
Wow.
hustler. Mind you, we just operate in three states, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, before we open up the floodgates as further expansion comes in. So let's bring this story back on the track. So I'm slowly starting to scale profitably because I know other folks in the industry who try to jump from one truck to 15, and you can't
Mhm.
really do that.
Yeah,
Insurance wise, you don't have the structure. It's like building a house. How can you start building up the side of the house without a solid foundation? Okay, so
very
I'm
true.
5 years in now. We have 6 trucks, 7 trailers, and we're scaling profitably each and every year. So I take a great deal of pride into that. But more importantly, it's been the families that I've been able to help out the past 5 years, which makes me wake up tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Okay, because trucking, the margin in this business is very small.
Mhm.
Um, you have to have cautious risk management, conservative accounting, and you have to stress test everything. So, with that mindset, that's allowed me to continue to play, but
Mhm.
it hasn't allowed me to jump to like 10, 15, 20 trucks because I try to operate like just super all the time. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to like put your hair down and just say, let's go.
Mhm.
And that can be intimidating when Class 8 vehicles go up to 250 grand. Trailers were trading at 50, 60 grand a pop each time.
Yeah,
Insurance is the premium is just
Insane.
asinine,
Mhm.
right? And then you want to mix in
yeah.
fuel.
Yep.
So, and everything else that comes in between, because all of us know the toughest part about any business, especially trucking, I believe, is the humanization aspect of the business also.
Mhm.
So here we are, almost 5.5 years in. We operate within the Southeast, strictly regional, dry van and flatbed. Okay. My guys, we work Monday through Friday. I get them home as much as I can during the week and off on the weekends because I knew when I was out there in my truck how difficult it was just to keep exhausting that 70-hour clock each and every week. And I said, man, I'm never going to be able to hire anybody because I was going into fuel stations. I was staring at people, and I'm sure they were looking at me like in Platt, Nebraska, like, what's this guy doing here? Right. Because 3 weeks previous, I'm on ESPN coaching basketball. Like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I just want to like pour life into these people.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I knew that the companies they were working at were exhausting them. So that's
Oh
Mhm.
why I
yeah.
wanted to dial in our operations, turn 8 to 13 loads in a week or more. That allows our drivers to do really well, bring home the bacon for their family. It allows the company to be successful, and it allows us to build our customer base. So that's what we're doing.
The way you describe what you're doing is refreshing in the way that we don't see that in the industry. I do think your background from being in it and then getting out and coming back has helped. Before we move forward, I want to go back to the pandemic. I'd love to know a little bit more about how you handled it because all we ever hear is horror stories. I was in the same boat. I was actually brokering at that time. I'd landed two of the largest contracts that this 400 carrier company had. And I'd only been there like a year. But not long after the pandemic, the prices changed, and I couldn't even do the loads. I mean, it was if the pandemic wouldn't have came, I would have been a millionaire. But that's how it goes. But how did you handle it? Because the way you just spoke was very intelligent on how to scale. Most people didn't do that during that time. So if this ever happens again, maybe somebody's listening can pick up on your knowledge to do it right the next time.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it starts out, and again, I'm talking to you. Again, I'm running a 6 truck, 7 trailer operation right now. I have a buddy in Colorado that runs 115 plus trucks, 400 plus trailers. So by no means am I an expert in this industry, but I'm passionate about this
Mhm.
industry and I've run profitably for 5 years coming out of the most grueling 40 plus month environment that this trucking industry has ever seen. So yes, I have
Absolutely.
a chip on my shoulder for that. And I continue to show up each and every day. Our company core values are excellence, dedication, and consistency. That's the
Mhm.
man I needed it to build up in my life so I could give that to other people. And that's what I require of our professional drivers each and every day. And it's listed on the side of our trailers as well as a reminder when you get out and when you couple to that trailer, you know what's going on. And you need to bring that home to your family at night and on the weekend too, or else you can't work here.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So back to what you were mentioning about how to make it through tough times. There's always going to be tough times. Can you
Mhm.
keep your blinders on? Are you waking up and adhering to your daily habits? Shamaira said she is a trainer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back and when you hit those weights or when you go out and you're running, can you stay laser focused on that goal? Let your mind escape for a little bit and just focus on what's going on. It's like taking a step when you're a toddler, just take one step at a time. A lot
Mhm.
of people in trucking get fooled by the shiny object syndrome, and a lot of drivers definitely get fooled by the shiny object syndrome. I've built out a YouTube page that's slowly growing, and I go over some of these disciplines that I practice each and every day. It's not just for me to be an influencer because I don't want to do that. I'm trying to change the life of folks who are truly trying to buy into self-development each and every day because you're pulled away all the
Mhm.
time, and especially in trucking. Hey, can you quote these drop trailers, or do you want to get into dump trucking? Like there's so many, opportunities that run across your board, but can you stick to your knitting? Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
you listen to Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, especially through the 2008 financial crisis, he said, just stick to your knitting.
Mhm.
He was the CEO when they got through the financial crisis, and now they're one of the largest conglomerates in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. It's the same principle that I try to take into trucking. And trust me, I'm not a millionaire, but I'm just trying to make it to tomorrow. Everyone asks me, what's the 5-year plan for the company? It's just making it to tomorrow. And that's allowed us to get through this tough time.
I absolutely couldn't have said that any better. That we talk about that, here on the show and daily at work, just the simple things that just get overlooked that drivers could do. One thing that we talk about a lot is be professional. When
Uh-huh.
when you show up at a dock, dress the part. Be yes sir, no sir. Yes ma'am. Be professional. Go in, have a conversation with people at the dock. Get to know where you're picking up at things like, and then be on time, be respectful. Those things add up, and that's how business grows. So going into your core values and stuff, talk about your hiring process. What kind of drivers do you or owner operators are you looking for? What kind of people? I know you kind of touched on what to do, but really what kind of, because the hiring market is crazy. I mean, it's probably 95%, losing drivers in a month. I worked with a company a couple years ago. They hired in 2024. They hired 724 drivers. At the end, they lost 700 of them. They only netted 24 out of a whole year, and probably spent a $500,000 in advertising, onboarding, and all that.
Turnover is crazy, especially with a lot of these companies, just like you said, Justin. I mean, Nick, from when you speaking, how you speak life into your drivers and how you're trying to uplift, you have 5, 6 trucks, you said, but I'm sure they're not going anywhere just because of the way you treat them. I mean, and it's
Exactly.
hard to find good people to work for. So the respect that you give them and the way you speak about them just speaks immensely about you and your company.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Guys, I wish I had it figured out, but Shamira, I think you hit it right on the head. What you feel the world owes you, you actually owe the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I try to
Hmm.
operate that every day with my folks. And we've had our turnover here, but our core group has stayed with me a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to make tough decisions with guys that have been here 3 years that I had to terminate as well because you're not
Hmm.
adhering to the company core values. And that's something that I don't break from. A lot of other trucking companies in this industry just worry about the revenue and profit. I want to make sure, and I'm not going to use any of our drivers' name here. I'm going to make up a name that, if Sammy is not doing what he's supposed to be doing at a fuel station or on the road or whatever, he's potentially impacting, Sean's take-home pay and vice
Absolutely.
versa. And I try to
Absolutely.
instill that into our guys. So I try to utilize what worked in coaching basketball into trucking. And maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. As far as recruiting is concerned, we try to get referrals. You try to ask folks. But again, you talk to a lot of different professional drivers and out there, and God bless all of them because without them, this world wouldn't move. Justin, what would happen if the truck stopped for a day?
Yeah, it
Everyone's gonna
would.
go hungry.
Yes, it would. That would probably, honestly, if all trucks stopped, that might be worse than us being attacked by a foreign country.
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say, absolutely.
really, I think it would be such devastation. And the one thing that's sad about it is drivers are not the good old boys that they used to be. Now it's all competition. It's an eye for an eye. They can't all get on the same page to help themselves. So if you had a group that went on strike, all these little bottom feeder, foreign drivers, realistically, they're going to come right in and take the freight and mess the whole system up. So it's such a sad thing because drivers are really the heartbeat of America. There is just as important, maybe not as important as a small business owner. Because if you don't have the small business, you don't have the shipments for the trucks. But you make a great point with that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what I've tried to instill and what I continue to try to instill here is that nobody works for me. We all have to work together to make this thing work. And that's what I've seen with the decline of other companies, because all of us here have known. I used to be a broker in my past life. Okay. I saw how it works on that side of the business. I'm seeing for the past 5.5 years now how it works on the asset side of the business. You're only as strong as your weakest link. You have to come together, okay, to make it work. There shouldn't be this, and that. So again, I try to continue to pour that in, and hopefully my message gets out there because personally, I thought people would be knocking down my door to want to work on a team like this.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
the guys that are here, they're very prideful about working here together because they know Nick has our back. And don't take it from me. Go to our YouTube page and listen to our
Mhm.
drivers that we were in their cab letting them talk for 15 minutes or interviewing them in front of the
Hmm.
cab. And I wasn't doing it. It's
That's
actually my
awesome.
buddy Mike who was doing it. So listen from their mouth.
Hmm.
Okay. So I want that type of environment. And again, like for the four wheelers that are out there on the road, um, you're a four wheeler, you're a commuter on that highway. Please understand, we're trying to just do our jobs out there.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. We have a guy, he's 65 on our team. Okay. He's been driving for 40 plus years, and I like to chop it up with him to hear stories about trucking then versus trucking
Hmm.
now. All right. And it's completely different, Justin, just like
Hmm.
what you said. From the
Absolutely.
flip-flop drivers all the way down to the non-domicile, et cetera, et cetera. But I also tell my guys, please block out that noise. What we have going right now is working.
Yep.
Hmm.
And if you don't want that to leave, just adhere to the company core values, take care of your daily habits. Please wake up with some life, all right, and just have a positive outlook. Energy Bus by John Gordon. I try to tell them to read it. I've spoken
Mhm.
about Profit First, okay, by Mike McAllowitz to my drivers because I want everyone to be on point. I don't want guys hitting me up to say, hey, I can't make my auto loan payment this month. Can I have a loan from you? It's like, listen, we pay every week, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
I must be doing something wrong because you're not allocating your money correctly. So let's sit down and have a financial conversation about how we can take care of our finances. So I'm doing something a little bit bigger than trucking, and it
Yes.
means a lot to me. I just want to impact more lives now.
Absolutely. What you just said is very important. I've been an advocate for a owner operator school away from CDL school because you just hit it. They're not business minded a lot. They're just truck drivers but they don't realize when they buy the truck and trailer, they have a mobile business. And with owning trucks, you can make $15,000 this month. Next month you might spend 20,000 in repairs. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the industry. And one thing that I've always told drivers is, look, pay yourself what you got to pay. Don't If you make 2 grand this week, do not pay your personal self 2 grand. You figure
Mhm.
out what you need weekly just to get by. Keep the rest in your business. You can always borrow against your business, and if you want to go on vacation, borrow the money from your business account, go on vacation, and then pay yourself back weekly $200 till you get your vacation paid. That's not a problem. But you taking the time to help financially is a huge thing that I wished even the mega carriers would do because that causes a lot of the turnover. What do you really think when it boils down to what's going on in the industry right now? Because we got a lot of serious issues, and the government's trying to get into it, but they're still a long way from it.
I mean, quite frankly, I literally just talk about topics that I'm comfortable about talking with. And it's not that I'm not comfortable. I've just had to put my blockers up. And going through 2020, that confirmed to me, don't listen to anything else that's going on out there other than evaluating it with your own eyes. So I am
Mhm.
fully focused on moving the needle at Trusted Cartage Solutions each and every day. Knowing that the port is going to shut down, knowing, that fuel is going to spike, knowing that insurance is going to go through the roof, knowing that whatever excuse is out there, whatever problem is out there, again, if we stick to our knitting, we're going to get through it. So
Mhm.
with all the craziness that was on 60 Minutes and whatever, it's sad, right? That
It
there's a
is.
lot of lives that were impacted from it. Why I named my company not Nick Isabella's Trucking, the first word in the company name is trust. Okay. The last word in the company name is solutions. So the way I talk and recruit to my drivers is the same way that we set up customers. You have trust here. And again,
Mhm.
I'm not going to run away from problems. I'm going to deliver the solution for you. All right. So I just try to do that because we had guys when the port was shutting down here a couple of years ago. Hey, what's going to go on to the business and this and that? I said, listen, look at your driver app right now. How many loads do you have for the rest of the week on your board that are already baked out? He goes, well, we got a full schedule. So I said, we're business as usual. All
Mhm.
right. So as long as you wake up, as long as you have a good time out there, as long as you stay safe, we're going to be just fine. Right.
Mhm.
But everybody in trucking is looking over their shoulder, wondering what that next guy is going to do. So, Justin, I'm sorry if I'm not giving you an answer that's
Oh no.
politically correct or anything like that, but I speak from the heart and I speak
Mhm.
what I do each and every day. And maybe
Mhm.
it's wrong, but it's worked.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, that's the main thing. No matter if somebody thinks you're right or wrong, if it's working, that's all that matters. And so I want to ask you, and I know you've talked about, you talked about the port, and y'all are not far from the port. What kind of freight? Like, is it port work? Or are you looking for owner operators to lease on? Kind of give us a little background on that. So if there's some drivers in the tri area that's looking for a place that they would be crazy not to at least reach out to you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Drivers are more than welcome to check out our YouTube page. Call me, call the company 1-800 number, get into contact with us. We have an omnipresent. We're on YouTube, Instagram. Our website's fully baked out. And we're very responsive. We don't do any port work because one of the reasons during the time in 2020, I'm sure you remember our friends in California, their port was shut down, right? So I
Mhm.
made the business decision that I don't want to go into the port. I want to be the trusted and reliable freight carrier that can show up to the warehouses because that's where the low-hanging fruit is. Okay, I
Mhm.
knew I could expedite freight and I knew there was enough dry van, good paying freight to stay regionally to round trip guys back at home that would take care of what they were doing in Dre. Because that's the thing. It's like, well, I'm home by noon. It's like, man, that ain't truck driving. And no,
Uh,
no, no disrespect to anybody who does port work at all. But we have a way better opportunity than you plucking cans for 75 bucks a can a day. I'll tell you that right now. Okay.
mhm.
Mhm.
You come and work here. We're going to run high value, time sensitive freight in three states, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Trust me, you're not going to be on I-40 going through Asheville fighting the mountains or out on Route 20 from Nampa, Idaho out to Bend, Oregon, or hauling ass from Omaha, Nebraska down into Sedalia, Missouri while your wagon is swaying all over the road while the wind is whipping 80 miles an hour. Because you want to know what? I did that. And I said, nobody's going to hear is going to do that. I want to be safe. I want to turn a bunch of freight. I want you to love trucking. All right. A lot of people who are exiting out of trucking, some of the truckers who have been driving 20, 30, 40 years, you can tell when you talk to them, man, they've gone through it. Working with different dispatchers, trucking companies that screw them over, people out there on the road, this and that. I want a good environment. And I know people in my age group, I'm 36, didn't grow up aspiring to be a truck driver or to work in the trucking industry because it essentially wasn't sexy, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
But like if you can show up, if you can stick to your core values, if you have good habits, if you want to come and learn from a leader who's going to push you to help you reach your full potential, come on here. I just don't want people who are great at backing up. You need to be honest, you need to have integrity, you need to be transparent, and you need to be willing to be a team player each and every day. And I truly care about everyone who comes through the door. On your first day, this is my secret. I send everybody a Google form. Okay, when's your
Mhm.
wife's Birthday, when's the anniversary? If you had 500 to $1,000, what would you buy?
Love
Okay.
that.
Just little stuff like that
Yep.
puts me ahead of the curve because you want to know what? When I call Bill and I say, hey, Bill, I really need you to run this shuttle on Friday night. Of course, it's going to pay you, but we
Mhm.
had a truck go down, whatever. Bill's calling his wife. Okay.
Mhm.
Bill's wife remembers I sent the card home to the family, and she's saying, yeah, Bill, get your ass in that truck and go help out,
That's
right?
right.
But
That's
more
it.
importantly, I truly care about the family. I'm not missing a birthday. I'm not missing an anniversary. And that is the environment that we're building here and that we've built out and that we're going to continue to build out here. So I want like-minded individuals, whether you're internal working in the office or you want to have a great career out there on the road. There's plenty of freight. You're going to work with an organization that truly cares about you, that wants you to do well, because when you're a part of this organization, we don't lose, we win. And we win every single day. And I want winners on this team, not people with shiny object syndrome, not the me type drivers. Okay. I tell drivers within 30 seconds, they call in and they're like, well, I really want a job. I see the trucks up and down 26. And you want to know what their first question is? How much money do I make? I said, hey, listen, it's not going to work out. I really appreciate you calling. And they're like, whoa, 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 what do you mean? I said, that was your first question? How much money are we making? You've seen the trucks going up and down 26, so you know there's work,
Mhm.
right? I don't even need to ask them what they're doing. And the guys who say, or girls who say, I'm all about my money, surprisingly enough, those are the ones that have zilch. All
Mhm.
right, because you're not attracting it. You don't have the proper daily habits. It's really simple. It's universal laws. I'm just trying to teach that. And again, you can ask anyone within the organization. It's like that each and every day. So I want our team to expand. So to answer your question, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia for drivers, we do all drive-in and flatbed work. Okay, we work Monday through Friday. You're off on the weekend. You want
Love
to
it.
come work for someone who truly cares about you, and you're not working for me, you're working together with our team to for one simple goal, that's to win, to take care of your family, and to build a stronger future. Come to Trusted Cartage Solutions.
And is it company drivers or just owner operators?
So we have a mixture of both.
Okay.
Okay.
Right now, I'm leasing uh, Class 8 Volvo V&Ls, okay, because
Okay.
I wanted more control over the process because my maintenance and everything is on point. Whenever we would get dings, that was
Mhm.
when things slipped through the cracks where I would trust whoever to say, "Hey, did you get, that taken care of?" Or was, and they would, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And again, they didn't do me wrong or do me dirty, but it's almost like making your bed. The way
Right.
I
Mhm.
make my bed might be different than the next person,
Absolutely.
right? So like
Absolutely.
now I trust myself, the business is there. I got my feet wet within those first 5 years. Now I'm, venturing into that class 8 game and expanding. So both company and owner operators that do have their own power as well. But everybody needs to be on the same page here. All right. We need to get along because we're doing life together. This isn't just about, revenue and profit. I need to wake up every day because I'm interacting with you.
Right. Well, you make a couple key points there that I want my audience to really take in, especially the drivers. These big mega carriers, there's some good ones out there and there's some bad ones. There's good small companies and there's bad small companies. But some of the things you hit on, really they need to soak in. And it's the you being personal. They're actually going to get to talk to you, which most owner operators never see the CEO of their company. They're just a truck number. So it sounds like here they're not a truck number. They've got the freight that everybody, and Shamaira will back me up. That's the freight that everybody asks about. Regional can be home maybe during the week and home on the weekend. I mean
Absolutely.
that's
And
what
make $1 million,
everybody asks.
right?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
they want.
they want $1 million too. So especially with the way the market is, this is a good place, guys and gals. So, reach out to them. But I've got one more thing I want to ask you. The way you run your business is probably 1%. You're in the 1 percentile that does that in the industry. What kind of advice would you have for somebody that is thinking about trying to either become their brokerage or a company, just a regular trucking company, or somebody trying to get that first truck, either a driver or somebody that was in your shoes that did not have a CDL, but thinking about getting a truck to grow to try to make money? What's some advice you can give them to starting out?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a great question, but there's really an easy answer for it. Are you humble enough to knock that ego down
Mm.
and to start from the ground level? I listened to Barry Diller talk at Radio City Music Hall over the summer. Barry Diller is a billionaire, okay? QVC, like all these other companies that he was running. He worked every single role at the company. A lot of people in this world, especially my age group, they want to start at the ownership level and they didn't do the janitorial level. When I
Right.
got in that truck, I didn't care. I wanted to learn. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to do something. I wanted to help the economy grow. Okay, everybody else was sitting at home, feeling bad for themselves, collecting checks. I was out there grinding because I knew that I could talk life into people because I truly did it. I knew I could gain the respect from other people. And that is the key thing is leading from the front. And when I was working those corporate America jobs, I'm sitting there and I would call home to my parents or my friends and I was like, man, am I doing something wrong? Because I'm looking around and I can't keep going through the motions. And I respect everybody who works in corporate America, but it wasn't my thing. Maybe I'm unemployable. I'm not sure, but I'd give my shirt to anybody and I try to make it happen. Owning a business, running a business, if you're open to not sleeping at night, to your hair falling out, to just wild thoughts, wild emotions,
Yeah.
um, I guess sign up for it because again, it's not about you, it's about impacting other people. And again, what you feel the world owes you, you actually owe the world. Okay,
Mhm.
you want to become sober, you help people become sober. You want to become wealthy, you make other people become wealthy. And that's what I tell everyone that I come into contact with. It's a simple universal law. And I'm still figuring out life, right? I don't have everything figured out. I haven't, sold a company and exited. We're not even at $3 million in EBITDA. Okay. Once you hit that $3 million in EBITDA mark, you can scale out at 5 to 7 times multiple. Okay. In today's current market. Now you do the math on how many trailers and how many trucks that's going to take to get $3 million of EBITDA. But that's what I did when I started in the business. I spoke
Mhm.
to a gentleman at the Tenney Group. It's an M&A firm out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I said, what does the end goal look like? And I've tried to literally reverse engineer the process and to establish that now. I'm 5 years in at 6 trucks, 7 trailers, and I'm like, holy shit, am I doing something wrong? But you have to pump the brakes a little bit, right? Because you
Mhm.
want that end goal, but I still am building a foundation. So I want to encourage other people who are looking to make that jump, whether you want to start your own brokerage or you want to start your own trucking company or whatever it is. Dial in on the fundamentals. It's like in basketball. Okay, you have to work on a layup and then work yourself out to the 3 point line. You just can't come over half court like Jimmer Fredette and pull up one step and knock it down.
I played high school against Tony Delk, which
Nice.
which played
Epic
at
name.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I played against him in high school a couple times. He was the first person I ever seen come across half court and shoot at half court. Steph Curry has made this what it is. With you being in basketball, I gotta ask, this is totally off subject, but what do you think about that shot? Because it's changed basketball so much from how I grew up in the 80s and 90s to what it is. I mean, every 10-year-old's trying to shoot from half court. I mean, I gotta know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I came up in a household, my pops, he played in high school, he played in college. I grew up, watching Lou Alcindor videos.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Nobody knows who Lou Alcindor is. Okay. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he was at the time, he was a freshman at UCLA, and he was the only player, he was one of the only, or actually he was the player where they weren't allowing him to play varsity because they had like freshman JV
Hmm.
varsity at the college level. And they
Hmm.
also were like no dunking too. So they were trying to make rules around him.
Yep.
Fast forward to today, the game has changed so much. And what Steph Curry and that Golden State Warrior team a few years ago has done is just simply fascinating. And actually, in 2018, I coached with Tony Durant, Kevin's brother, who played at
Yeah.
Town
Yep.
and
Nice.
heard some of the stories of that, and that group was special. But yeah, the game has changed so
Hmm.
much. It'll be interesting to see what happens this summer in the NBA Finals And who knows what Adam Silver is going to allow that league to do.
Yeah.
My inclination, even though the Lakers are up 2-0 right now in their series, they might allow LeBron and his kid to win the first NBA Finals because it's never been done before, just to
Hmm.
try to get viewership back up
Back up.
because
Yep.
it's lagging.
It's
Yeah, a little
like
bit.
yeah,
That would
it
be kind
definitely.
of dope to see, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, Nick, we really appreciate your time. We enjoyed the conversation. We'll definitely have to continue another episode with you. I think it's refreshing to how you see the industry and how you see the truck driver in this industry, which is just like as Shamaira said earlier, it speaks volumes of you.
Thank
So
you.
we appreciate that. Want to thank our sponsors that make this show happen. Graycross.org. They are a nonprofit organization. They do is they come in if you lose a loved one on the road. If you have a truck driver, usually they're the sole household giver. They'll come out. They'll help you with medical bills, funeral costs, anything to try to help you through those tough times. If you'll go to graycross.org, donate $1, $5, $10, all any and all donations help. And then, of course, our main sponsor is Ready App. Ready App is here to, as Nick said, Ready App is trying to bring the industry together, from the drivers to the company driver to the owner operators to the brokers to the customer to the carrier. They've got a driver passport. Drivers go download ready-app.com, download it on Apple or Android. We appreciate it, everyone. Check us
Thanks,
out,
guys.
and we'll see you on the next time.